Today, we're going to talk about the Altar de Muertos, which is one of the most iconic traditions of Mexican culture. It is a way to honor and remember the loved ones who have passed away, showing them that they are still an important part of our lives. The Altar de Muertos is an essential part of the Dia de los Muertos celebration, which takes place on November 1st and 2nd. On these days, it is believed that the spirits of our loved ones return to the world of the living to reunite with their families. The altar is prepared to welcome them, guiding their way back home and offering them the things they loved when they were alive. Altars can vary in design, but they typically have multiple levels, each one symbolizing different aspects of life and death. A traditional altar usually includes a variety of elements, each with its own special meaning. For example, candles are placed to light the paths of the spirits, helping them find the way. Bright orange marigolds or cempasúchil are known as the flower of the dead and are used to decorate the altar. Their strong fragrance is believed to attract the souls. You will also see photos of the deceased placed on the altar. These photos help us remember the faces of those we miss and are a way to invite their spirits to join us. Food is another essential part of the altar. Families place their favorite dishes of their loved ones, as well as traditional foods like pan de muerto, tamales, and sugar skulls. These offerings, known as ofrendas, represent our love and care for those who have passed. The altar also often includes objects that reflect the personality or hobbies of the deceased. For example, if someone loved music, you might see a musical instrument on their altar. If they were someone who loved art, you might find brushes or small paintings. All of those details make each altar unique and personal. In our school, we participated in this tradition by creating altars as a class project. Each classroom was assigned a different theme. Both of our classes were assigned one theme: traditional altar and one dedicated to Mexican musicians. The traditional altar followed all the classic elements I just mentioned. Meanwhile, the altar of Mexican musicians celebrated the lives of famous artists who have passed away, such as Selena, Juan Gabriel, and others. It was decorated with their photos, music albums, and other items that represented their legacies. This project was a beautiful way to learn more about our culture and share it with others. It made me reflect on how important it is to honor our past and keep our traditions alive.
Parts of an altar. An altar is a sacred space often used for religious or spiritual practices. It is a place where people can connect with the divine, make offerings, or engage in prayer and meditation. The structure and components of an altar may depend on the religious or cultural context, but there are some common elements found in many traditions. 1. Table or surface. The central part of the altar, usually a flat surface, where offerings, candles, or other ritual items are placed. It symbolizes the foundation of spiritual practice. The candles. Candles are often placed on the altar to represent light, purity, and the presence of the divine. They symbolize enlightenment, guidance, and the illumination of one's spiritual path. Offerings. Many altars include offerings such as food, flowers, incense, or symbolic items. These offerings are made as a gesture of respect, gratitude, or petition to higher powers. Image or icons. Religious symbols, pictures, or statues of deities, saints, or spiritual figures are commonly placed on the altar. These serve as focal points for prayer and contemplation. Incense. Burning incense is a common practice on altars believed to purify the space and create an atmosphere conducive to spiritual connection. The smoke is seen as a medium that carries prayers to the heavens. Sacred texts. Many altars include sacred scriptures or texts that are central to the belief system. These texts are often placed on the altar as a way of honoring the teachings and wisdom of the tradition. Flowers and plants. Natural elements like flowers, herbs, or plants are often used to decorate the altar. These symbolize life, growth, and the cyclical nature of existence. Sacred objects. Some altars include objects like crystals, bowls of water, or relics that hold spiritual significance. These objects may serve as tools for meditation or as symbols of protection or healing. The altar is not just a physical space but also a symbolic one, representing the connection between the earthly and the divine. Its design and context reflects the values and beliefs of the people who use it.
What we did to make our altar was, first, select the size of the altar, considering the space where it will be placed. Afterwards, we opened some holes in the ground and placed wooden posts that were going to serve as a base to give it stability. Afterwards, we built a simple roof made of sticks, which we placed over the posts, making sure it was firm. We added palms to the ceiling to give it a more traditional and decorative touch, both at the top and on the back of the altar. Then, to reinforce the structure, we used thread to tie each component, making sure everything was securely fastened. Next, we used bamboo to build the base of the table, where we later placed the food, photos of the deceased and other representative elements. We also placed larger palms on the sides of the altar to create designs, walls, and give it a more traditional finish. In the front part of the altar, we traced a path with line and stones, designing a cross in the center as the main symbol. Around the cross, we placed candles that we secured with the same melted wax that they released when lighting them. Finally, we added the decorative and symbolic elements that completed the altar: bread of the dead, tamales, typical sweets, incense, marigold flowers, and more candles to illuminate the space. Every detail was carefully placed to honor the deceased, making sure to keep the meaning and tradition alive. The process was a collaborative work full of effort and respect, with the goal of creating an altar that not only completed tradition, but also transmitted the essence of the important celebration.
Now I'm going to explain how the third semester, Group A, made our Day of the Dead altar. First, we all agreed on what materials we needed to make it. Since our altar's theme was musicians, we needed to bring things that represented musicians and decided it would only be featured by Mexican musicians. After identifying the necessary materials, we started assigning who will bring each item and tried to be fair, although some people obviously contributed more than others. We used things like black tablecloth, papel picado or perforated paper, yellow light bulbs, traditional food, instruments, cempasúchil flowers, and among other items. After that, we bought everything we needed so that we could start assembling it on Thursday, the day of the exposition. At 11:30 a.m. in the morning, classes were suspended at Fray Angelico High School so that all the groups could start setting up their altars. Honestly, we had many problems with the materials because we were missing many items that we couldn't get. We spent about 6.5 hours assembling the altar and making sure everything was in place. Since our spot was far from the electricity, we had to to beg for extensions and light bulbs to make it look good. Two of our classmates presented everything above the altar, and they did it well. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any prize, but it wasn't so bad considering we put it together quickly. As in every group, there were some minor arguments and discussions, but finally, this was our result.
The Day of the Dead altar is a Mexican tradition that honors our loved ones who have passed away. More than just a decoration, it's a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. It's a profound expression of love, memory, and spiritual connection. It's a way to celebrate life through the death, where grief transforms into joy and remembrance. The altar's structure, often built in levels, holds deep symbolism. A three-level altar adds a third dimension, symbolizing heaven, earth, and the underworld, inspired by pre-Hispanic beliefs. A seven-level altar, the most traditional, represents the steps souls must take to reach eternal rest. Each level adorned with offerings that help guide them along their journey. Each element of the altar holds a special meaning, like the papel picado that represents the wine, symbolizing the fleeting nature of life. The candle's light represents the path for the souls to find their way to the altar, while the cempasúchil flowers, with their vibrant orange color, guide the spirits with their scent from the beyond. Water is placed to refresh the souls after their long journey, representing the purity and renewal of life. The salt is placed on the altar to purify and protect the souls during their visit. Pan de Muerto, or bread of the dead, with the unique shape and sword coating, reminds us of the cycle of life and death. The photographs and personal belongings evoke the presence of those who are no longer with us, bringing their essence and memories to life. The altar also includes food and drinks, as offerings to quench the hunger and thirst of the visiting souls. This is an act of generosity, but also a moment of communion and chance for the living to share space with the dead. This ritual not only honors those who have departed, but also invites us to reflect on our own mortality and the value of life. The Day of the Dead altar is a celebration of memory, an act of love, and a reminder that as long as we remember our loved ones, they are never truly gone. It's a testament to the enduring bonds between the living and the dead, where every offering, scent, and color tells a story of connection, family, and tradition.